like every single comment means so much. And the thing is, you can't respond to all of them a lot of times. And I think both of us came onto YouTube for that like reason of like, sharing a conversation, like our thoughts, and then talking with people. It's like, and so comments do mean a lot. And, so with that 50/50 podcast, thank you guys for commenting on the live.
Just making sure you just hit record, right?
Yeah, like just recently.
Oh, thank God.
Oh, when I started talking.
Okay. I was gonna say, hopefully you didn't get the beginning of this conversation.
No, I knew. Trust. Come on, we've been over a year now. You don't think I know when to hit the trigger? Come on,
I thought you hit it too early, and I was like, I hope you do not leave this part in.
I'm not premature, bro.
You know what I was talking about, right?
Yes, I know what you're talking about. God, man, I can't believe.
It was for your sake, really, because like you started talking about Vasco shot, and I was like,
we're on the 50/50 podcast. You can push your agenda there. I don't want the comment section to be filled with that. You know what I'm saying? Because the comment section is really great. My computer restart. I usually, I'm not gonna lie. I honestly check the 50/50 podcast comments more often than my main thing, because there's just like, you can respond to everybody, right? And like there's so many conversations that we're having, and we already talk about One Piece so much. We like live stream, record hours and hours, and like, but like you and I, at least I know for your sake, like One Piece, we do eat, sleep, and breathe it to a certain extent, right? Like when spoilers come out, boom, like I'm awake. You're doing that, right? That's on your boat, right? For me, it's like OP scans, TCB drops, I'm on edge, I do stuff, all that jazz, right?
Fight or flight.
But that being said, like we both have like crazy insomnia, and like we like I would say like maybe 50 of our day is like other things. Like family, and then a bunch of other topics. Yeah, Minecraft, news. We watch the same news source sometimes, so it's like a lot of different things to talk about.
Which I have an amazing topic.
Uh-oh.
I've had this pulled up on my phone ever since I heard about it, just to talk about it here on the 50/50.
Before you say that, one thing I do want to note is in my Discord, I haven't had the time to do all this stuff because it's so much time to like keep track of all these things as a one singular unit, right? Like people who are able to do this, they generally have teams behind like having multiple YouTube channels and putting out a lot of content on a weekly basis, and like for a full-time thing, which neither of us are in that boat fully yet. Hopefully, maybe one day we are, but like, hey,
maybe the 50/50 will pay bills one day.
Yeah,
we can only hope.
Maybe it does, and hey, I'm looking forward to that day. But in the podcast 50/50 podcast thread channel on my Discord, one of our members, I can't pull up the name right now, has been super they're a history buff. And I just want to acknowledge them because I think they're on the 3rd episode now, so they're watching from the beginning. And I just want, because it'll feel like we're not responding to their comments, and I want to acknowledge it because they're putting a lot of really good information about like how some of the things that we took are not completely genuine to the whole truth, and like blah blah blah. And they're like all that stuff, and we acknowledge this many times where it's like we're just having a conversation of like, a casual thing. It's not like an academic setting. Like if you're coming to us as a news source, that's not the play, right? Like that's something that should be first and foremost. If anything, in the past we've always been redirecting, like when the Senate hearing thing, very important thing to talk about, and you guys should go watch it, because that's your government, then you should listen to that, right? And on the flip side, like last episode, I believe we talked a lot about like random TikTok stories that I didn't necessarily corroborate, but I was just like it was scroll things I DM to you, and I'm not like gonna put enough time to like go sit there and research it and things like that. It's those stories aren't that important, right? But I get some of the history stuff that he pointed out, and that's why I'm pointing out his comment. And some of you guys should go check it out, because he pointed out some of the things, like apparently the burning bull thing, not a real thing. It was a myth. And I was like, oh, whoa,
that's a myth?
Yeah, he said it was a myth.
No, hey. Feelings over facts, my man. That's all I gotta say. We're just two regular Joes. You know what? We're not educational. I'm gonna say it right here. We're not educational. So in my heart, even though, maybe you did your research and, you know the history and I don't, that's very fair because I didn't do any real research on it, minus the torture part of it. But hey, feelings over facts. That's how it is, right? And
And
Par agrees. Par's the sole proprietor of feelings over facts. Me too.
and so like there are certain conversations where it doesn't necessarily like matter if it's true or not, unless it's like, in my opinion, perpetuating a larger problem, right? And so the one thing that I did like was some of the, he rated the Black Death at a 10 out of 10. Remember how I was being uber critical, and he was saying that apparently the reason why soap couldn't have been the solution at that time was because there was no way to manufacture it at a larger scale, so only the wealthy had it. But then you combine the misinformation, and that is the true reason. They didn't have a proper industrial infrastructure to get the soap out there. So, and on my note, it's like, hey, like, sure, but there's also stupidity in there. Like, you might get a little bit mad at that, but there's a few things, and so obviously all we can really say is we're not putting in the time to fully vet out the research
We're
here.
dumb.
We're just talking about certain things that we come across, and hey, that is, if you guys see something that you are knowledgeable about, comment it. That is how discussions kind of go in the real world, right? You don't walk out in like public space and just like meet somebody and then they're right about every single thing and they're knowledgeable about every single topic, right? Like how the real world would work is like, hey, like if you know something, like bring it up in a way that's respectful, bring it up in a way that's like someone's gonna receive that information. You act like a know-it-all, no one's gonna care about what you say, right? Like that's how the real world is, and I think that's how that's the kind of community that'd be dope, right? Like we're talking about it, and if we're being super goofball on a certain like political thing, which I think that you and I put a lot more focus on in that regard, and so I think it just makes sense. Like we're not gonna be right about anything, right? Like it or everything. And in that regard, that's just how the real world is. And the way it would work is talk to us like you would a person, a friend in real life, right? Like I don't
Talk to
just
me like I'm your grandma.
yeah. Oh, that's a good one. Side
Yeah,
talk to us.
yeah. Like my IQ's bouncing around the,
They
the the
don't
40s or something.
they don't
So
know
just
how
yeah,
old we are either, right? Like to them, like
yeah.
I have a
We're really
child.
deceptive. We have
Yeah.
like the Asian genes, right?
Mm.
Like we're older than you think.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I've had a couple of comments, which I don't know if it's a compliment or not, but they're like, "Hey, like Sai, you look like you just graduated high school." It's like, oh fuck. Like I mean, is that good or bad? Like I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, which ones are better? The people who don't know, like say that you're very young. Do you like those compliments, or the people who outright simp for you? Because people like Psy a lot. It's
No,
kind
they
of
don't.
crazy. Yeah, they do.
No, they don't.
Yeah.
That's fake
Okay,
news.
so that one you don't like that, but like the people, do you like
No.
when someone's like, "Yo, Psy kind of looks like 20, like 19,
If
8."
you really want to compliment me, just say I look like Drift King from Tokyo Drift, and that's it.
Oh yeah. I was like, oh, I went. Wait, the Drift King? That's not the guy I'm thinking about. Wait, is that? I don't remember the
Maybe.
epithets. Hold on, Drift King, the guy, the antagonist, right?
I
That's the,
think so. I've never watched Tokyo Drift, so I'm not too sure.
what? What do you mean? How did you? Oh
I'm
yeah, the
not a car guy.
antagonist.
I'm not like a big car guy, so I never watched those movies as a kid.
Wait, you're not a car guy?
No, no.
Damn, I thought you would be. I don't know what.
A,
What?
a lot of Asian people are, but I'm just not. I just feel like it was always like a waste of money. Like I had
No,
a
I'm
like
saying
so my
both.
cousins and a lot of my family, they're into cars. Some of them are even like into just modding out and tricking out cars.
Let me
Like
guess.
that's
Let
their
me
whole
guess.
profession.
Most of
Uh,
them. BMWs, or are they like? Do they have like the Asian
Hondas.
cars? Oh, Asian Hondas. I get it. I get it.
Yeah,
That makes
yeah. Like they're
sense.
they're they're that type.
At least like the Honda one is kind of cool in a sense of like you're taking something baseline, unless you're getting like one of the like the what the NSX or whatever, like a crazy one. You're taking like a base Honda and modding it to a crazy like sleeper build, right? Versus like the BMW boys is what I call them.
The BMW boys.
Yeah, and it's like you're like they mod out the thing like aesthetically, but then also like they act like they like you're not like the BMW is already a base monster, right? Like it's not like you're not doing anything crazy. Whereas like the Asian side, like you're taking a Honda and then tuning it up for like drifting, tuning it up for like drag racing. That's kind of sick. I do like that. But like again, I see it the same way as you, where it's like personally, I get why people do it. There's gonna be car people in the chat. I know that we just talked about like, oh, we welcome all of you guys, and then
We don't welcome the car people.
no, we do. No, a lot of my friends are car people. Hold on, a lot of my friends are car people. Your family's car people.
Yeah, it doesn't mean I care for what they do.
Oh no.
Like
Oh.
when it comes to family, I don't really interact with my family that much.
Uh-huh.
So like they could be like a serial killer for all I care. I don't really care.
Wait,
I'll
wait,
just see him like I'll see him during Christmas and that's it, right?
wait. Hold on. If they're a serial killer, you should care. That should be like something you do care about. Like if you
Okay.
knew. Like,
If so, my thing is if they're a serial killer, just don't tell me about it, right? I don't want to be liable. I don't want
yeah,
to be
I mean,
aiding and abetting.
I'd hope that they would be competent enough to not
But
just.
okay, here we go. Here's a good question. If you knew that a family member of yours was a serial killer, but they didn't outright tell you, so you wouldn't, you would be liable for it, would you actually turn them in?
Okay, hold on. This is oh.
That's a good one, right? Like for me, it would depend on who they kill. If they're killing like innocent like women and children and family people, I'd be like, okay, that's messed up, right? I might have to turn you in, I might have to kill you myself. But
Okay, I was worried.
if they have like a good demographic they're targeting,
Oh my god, not the good.
then I'd be fine. Hey, we gotta admit there are some good demographics they could tackle. Like imagine like only go after convicted pedophiles or something, right?
There that exists now.
Like they have confirmed proof like these guys diddled children or they mess with innocent people. If they go after them, I'm not gonna bat. If they want to be Batman on the side, if cousin Alex wants to go around killing people on the side that are like evil,
It's
then
not-
you know what? I'm not gonna care. I'll
it's
see him during
not
Christmas and I'll give him some nutmeg and that's it.
something you would encourage, but that's not something you necessarily like. And I've seen this especially on TikTok, which is there was like a few crime stories that came up. I think I might have sent you one, like a few of them for the comment section, because like there's certain crimes where like this a dad kills the person who abused their daughter, right?
And I think that's very justified.
And like, hey, they got acquitted by the jury. So like, even in the peer system, there is that line of context that exists in the world. That's what that system is for. And you see variations of that where the comment section is like, why is this a story? Like, why are we talking about this? Like, cause I feel like this is not newsworthy. I feel like this is just humanity par the course. Like this dude just did what every sane person would do and should be allowed to do. And I'm like, yeah, like I get that. That's very fair. That's not something you would exactly encourage or commend someone to do. So I know what you're saying.
I would pat them on the back. No freaking way.
No.
What do
That
you mean?
okay.
I'd buy the dad a drink.
The dad one is a different example from what you were originally saying. Like the
Okay.
one who's going out and just randomly like choosing people off like a list, right? And doesn't know the context of the list and all that stuff.
But
right?
convicted, they have
but
like
US
Dexter. Have you watched Dexter?
I know about Dexter. A lot of people tell me to watch Dexter.
Yeah, he gets like irrefutable proof that they're bad people, and then he kills them.
If they do that, but if it's okay, so that's the line, the context where it's like,
okay,
because if you go by the U.S. justice system, ain't no way, like that shit is flawed, like nobody's business. That's worse than a teacher grading tests. Like, I mean, like, how many times have you been to a class where you wrote a bullshit essay and they still gave you an A, like, or an F because they just don't like you or they like you? That's the same thing with the U.S. justice system. They just don't like people and they do like people. And at the end of the day, across the world, across the nation, there's a lot of judges like that, unfortunately. And if you go off that list, you can't do that. But the story that I gave, yeah, obviously it's like, I'm sure that guy went home super bummed about what he did, but his whole community was like, yo, me too. You know what I mean? Like they might have spun the Me Too movement in that direction, and I can see that. Not to hijack a movement, but going back to I forget what were we talking about, the car thing? No, the killing thing.
Wait.
You were asking the thing.
Yeah.
I think in the same boat for me, It would be the irrefutable evidence. It would be the same. The demographic would have to be important, I think, right? Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Who are they going after?
yeah. I think it's mainly
But
an association thing, right? Because it's like,
would you pat them on the back?
I mean, for what? Depending on what they do, you're not gonna cashing on a audio bit saying some out of pocket thing. You're not doing that to me. I got
Hey, I already
media
admitted I
training.
would. I dap them up.
Yeah, unlike you, I am media trained, buddy. No, I'm joking, but
If
like,
I saw my cousin during Christmas and he was like one of these killers that killed bad people and his tie was uneven, bro, I walk up to him and I'd fix the tie for him.
oh
I'd be like, yeah, I
no.
got you, I got you, I got you, G. You know?
Given the context, sure. But here's a different question then.
What's up?
Would you help them evade just the justice system?
No.
Okay, all right.
I would turn a blind eye as much as I legally can, but I wouldn't help unless I was like an active member in like the killings or whatever. I wouldn't help them evade the
You're
justice
saying
system.
that? Why are you like hypothetically incriminating yourself? You always do that. You hypothetically put yourself in a bad situation. It's just like the ninth time in like the last 3 weeks where I'm like, sorry, this is your hypothetical. You hypothetically
Yeah,
could be
it's a
anything.
hypothetical. Just saying, it's not actually the case, but if I was under the right circumstances, I might help.
Okay.
But legally, I won't. And
Mm,
legally, I just want to remind you guys that this is all hypotheticals here.
all right.
I could even be joke. I'm playing a character. Who am
Oh
I?
no, not the
Joseph?
character. The character. We're AI. Oh,
Yeah,
this is a deep
this is
fake.
AI.
This is a deep fake. You don't know what's going underneath the torso. No, I'm joking. But to elevate this question one more time, I know you had a topic, and I want to get to that actually because you were super excited, and I just kind of like segued out of that. But
You're all good. You're good.
what if you were your wife,
What if my wife was a serial killer?
like committing crimes?
Oh,
Yeah,
I'd help
like
her.
that. Like you help.
That's very different. I'd help her. Yeah.
Yeah, like is there a line? Is there a line?
No, not really.
And that's the thing. The reason why I say that, I'm the same way. I think that's like, and there's like a certain amount of friends that get to a certain amount of line, but nothing close to like a wife, right? And the reason the spouse thing is important is because that is a blind spot that the our government allows. You can't
Really?
you can't put your, like, if you're the spouse of someone, you can't set them to testify, right? Because
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
so it's like you can't use the spouse as evidence, even if they're like, unless they're like an accomplice, obviously, right? But like, the duress and all that thing, that's in there. So you just plead the fifth. They can't do anything. Like, even if you are an accomplice and they have no like evidence for it, but you are, like, you just plead the fifth and they can't do anything. And there's no amount of like pushing anything because it's a protected like class. It functions differently in the actual context of law, but that's essentially like the idea behind it, where it's like you can't put a spouse against the other spouse. You can't make them testify because that's an understood like blind spot that, as cold as the
They're gonna
government
be a little bit
is.
biased.
Yeah, as cold as the government is, like, you can't, that's such a tough spot, even like as a human, to understand, and we've accepted that on the macro level. So it is kind of interesting how it's
I like
going.
how I love serial killer talk. That's one of my favorites.
I labeled this family, and then
Oh,
you and then you said something like like I forget where I switched it, but you said something about you don't like your family, and then I just added 3 question marks. It's like,
oh my god.
which is
Hey,
funny
this
because Fast and Furious, the Tokyo Drift thing that actually started us here, that's the thematic. That's the moral of the story.
all about
Family.
family.
Yeah. Wow, we're so deep here. The 50/50 podcast is deep.
Yeah. Speaking of which, this kind of ties into the subject I wanted to talk about in the beginning. I've
Oh,
been so excited for this.
wait, do I need to change the topic, or should I just keep family?
Um, you could probably keep up family. I feel like this ties for it.
Oh my god, that's a first.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Cow anus.
What?
So, a couple days ago, April 23rd, 6 cows in Texas found dead and mutilated with their tongues cut out and have left police searching for answers. Apparently, all their tongues were cut out surgically. No blood spillage. It was a clean cut. And I think 3 of the cows had their anuses also cut out as well. And this is one of those mysteries where it's like it could be aliens, it could be some teenage psychopaths, it could be even the farmer themselves trying to drum up some hype for the farm, old McDonald, cut out some cowiness on the side. And I feel like it ties in really well because these cows had families, right? And it's like, yo, like we just saw a family get slaughtered. What are your opinions on this? Do you think it's aliens or do you think it's supernatural? Do you
So
think it's, the farmer? What's up? What's your take?
it's a single farm?
A single farm.
Oh, it's the family, bro. It's the
Bro,
family
but
or
hear me
someone
out.
around the thing. It's someone around them.
Hear me out though.
Uh-huh.
They said the police did some research and apparently, I don't know what research they did here.
Let me vet the
What's
research.
up?
What state is it?
Texas. So they
Damn.
take they take cows seriously. Like this is
Okay.
like a federal offense, bro. Like if you get caught mutilating a cow here in Oklahoma or Texas, oh bro, that's like the death sentence.
Wait, is it? It's not the death sentence, but it take it. I know that
They
kind of.
take it seriously. We love our farmers over here in the South.
Yeah, I'm trying to think because Texas obviously has. Like if someone did that in New York City, it's like, oh, that's just an everyday thing. But if you did that like in northern New York State, it's like, whoa, bro, we only got cows up here. You know what I mean? Like, but if you do that like in a metropolitan city, you're just kind of like you get the side eye. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's still a problem, but there's also crazier and weirder things in the city that like even that story that you just said, it's like, yeah, like my neighbor probably does that in their free time. You know what I mean? Like, so it is kind of interesting. But what did the police say?
They said that there was no tracks of people around the cows when this happened. They said there are no footprints, no trails,
Did it
no
rain?
blood. Apparently, no blood spillage, no rain either. So they said this does look really like odd, and that's why they'd have no clues on who's actually did it. And the alien community is going wild with this one.
I was gonna say that the blood spillage thing was in. I was like, how do you cut the tongue with no blood spillage? But then it's like, listen. This is the thing. I'm disappointed because this is a story early 2000, the 90s, 80s, 70s, 60s. Sure, we're in 2020. You know how many times like it's obnoxious where it's like, oh my god, you see Bigfoot, and then it's like a grainy camera, and I'm like, I'm not an elitist where everyone needs to have an iPhone type of thing, but we've come a long way since that kind of footage where people are like trying to get away with like, oh my god, I saw the Yeti, I saw a Bigfoot, I saw like right now there's the skinwalker trend where people are showing like skinwalkers, like giant people running across mountain ranges, and like, oh my god, if you scale this guy to the tree that's next to him, it's a giant, like a 10-foot skinwalker, and it's like cool, but like why is your footage like literally 8-bit? Like I don't get it, you know what I mean? Like, and so this story that you just said, it's like, yeah, it's Texas. I need to see the reports myself, how much they're putting into it, who's the news source. If maybe it was a slow news day, you know what I mean? Who knows? That's a very interesting thing. That's generally where the alien stuff comes from. But there's another one actually, but I'm man, the alien
So
community's up in arms. Why? Tell me what the alien talk's been
they
about.
believe that the cows were abducted and experimented on
Why? What's their
because
theory?
there's no
I don't know,
human
Sai, if you
traces.
know this about me, but I'm quite the theorist myself. I may or may not have an entire community about theories.
Hey. So there's no trace of human life nearby the cows. And the craziest part was the fact that all these tongues were cut straight off. And they're like, bro, if anybody did this to a cow, the cow would fight back, right? You wouldn't get a clean cut. There's
Tranquilize
some
it.
there's some mumbo jumbo going on with this.
Tranquilize it.
And I think this ties back to a previous episode as well.
I don't
Do you
want.
remember
Hit me
we
with
we
it.
talked we talked about the frozen core of the earth? Maybe these cows were frozen in place, not tranquilizer, but frozen. And this is why they got a clean cut.
I need to know.
And
I need to know.
what's up?
Was that the anime? Not the anime. Is that the
Was this in
alien?
the manga?
Is that the alien community theory, or did you do that? The ice
I
thing.
did that. I tied
See,
it back.
see, that's what
I
I'm
I tied it
saying.
back to one of your theories.
Okay. See, our theory. We both here. No, don't push it on me. We're both here. Okay. Second of all, the moment you said that theory and I was buying into it, I was like, no shot they came up with that. Sai had to have come up with that frozen one because I'm liking that. If you froze it and then did it, that's kind of sick. That's kind of like sick in both, like that's sick and nasty to do, but also sick and is in like, yo, if you were a person and were able to like freeze a cow like in the middle of nowhere. Oh yeah, wait, wouldn't that be the answer? You'd kind of just like drop the cows, like you freeze it and the fly over, just drop the cows.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nah, this ain't aliens. Oh, but people are
No.
saying the aliens are the ones who dropped it off.
Yeah. The aliens are the ones who froze them and dropped them off. Like, how else would you pick them up? Like, this had to have been some helicopter maneuver, right?
Yeah, no, but what I'm saying is I can see humans doing it. The question is like, who has that money though? Because usually people who do this wouldn't have the resource. Like, is in order
Jeffrey
for
Epstein.
not that conspiracy theory.
He's still alive. He's
He
diddling our cows.
he's did and mutilating them in Texas of all places. He moved from. All right, never mind. But like the listen,
He never committed suicide. He's still out there.
all I know is that for this to currently make sense, given the details that was presented to me, I think what if it was an open field, for example, not in a forest, then yeah, I think it's like you tranquilize a cow, you freeze it off somewhere, you do your diddling, and then you fly it over, drop it off in the middle, and then you point people in the direction like, hey, look at those weird cows. You know what I mean? It might even be the person who's noticed it or who reported it, or the people like that were first on the scene.
Okay.
Those people are the suspects here. That's who I would
Yeah.
look at. Who's most interested in this thing? Because at the end of the day, why would you like if this is a human feat, like if this was someone who did it, why would they do it? What's the what is the reason, right? Most reasonable thing is they want a reaction, right? It's not like you this is like, you know, when I was growing up in my high school, I remember there was a bomb threat at our school, and the bomb threat was because there was a bank. The people sent that in so that there could be a bank robbery, and it's like that's a diversion, right? But you're not mutilating and diddling cows as a diversion and making it this ridiculously hard to figure out. As a no, you want the reaction. You're like, oh, I wonder what they think about my cow
You want
diddling.
to be on CNN.
Yeah, and be like, oh my god, like that the cow thing. I'm holding my cows closer, you know what I mean? Like that person who's like who said that on the news. It's like, my cow, I have cows at home and this news disturbed me, you know, like that person who's like, now my cows are sleeping in my house.
They're not safe. And here's the thing. Okay, so we got the tongues, right? We got the
Oh no, there's
anus.
more. Uh-huh.
Would you Okay, let's say you're a guy that shops on the black market. If you saw cow anus floating around, would you buy it?
No. No. Is there like some medical? Is there some? Yeah, and I'm not, hey, we're both Asian. I'm not gonna. But your side of Asia has a lot more herbal treatments. Is there any cow anus herbal treatments that grandmothers told you about? Because my grandma. Nah, there's more. My mom told me wild stuff, but nothing. You know, it's not like saber-tooth tiger teeth or elephant tusk or like squirrel poop coffee, like that kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Squirrel poop coffee.
Wait, that's a thing. Cat,
It
no,
is. It
cat
is.
poop.
It is.
Cat poop.
It's cat
Coffee.
poop. It's
Yeah,
it's cat poop coffee, and cat poop coffee is one of the most expensive ones in the world too.
yeah. Fun fact. Apparently, it's really tasty. Waka Flocka Flame confirmed.
He didn't. He said it was tasty, but
We
I
saw
can't
the
tell.
same thing.
Yeah. Well, okay. Yeah. There's like a big documentary, like 30, 20 minutes long, with Waka Flocka Flame
Waka.
trying out cat poop coffee, and apparently, like that one cup of coffee he had was like over $1,000 or something like
It was
that.
the original Mr. Beast. This is before Mr. Beast. He tried like $1, a $10, $100, and then like a $10,000 thing, and it was the cat poop one. It was like the
It's
original
never
Mr.
worth it,
Beast.
man. Like whenever you hear those foods, like, oh, like I ate a burger that had gold flakes and it would cost $1,000. It's not worth it, dude. Like,
Yeah.
you can't tell me that the flavor imparted on that $1,000 burger just stomps on the $5 Big Mac. Like, there's no way the distance is that high, right? It's not like heaven and earth.
Yeah, there's some things that could like novelty, sure. Things that are rare, sure. there's maybe some things that taste good, but like then there's like the most expensive chicken wing, right? That just has gold on it. It's like, why? Like, why is this like $1,000 a wing? Like, no. And then the burger, I think there's like a $20,000 burger or something, and it's literally just that. Like they flew in. The reason why it's expensive is because they import procured things and then just add gold to it. I'm like, still, it's not worth it. Like, it's still not worth that money. It's so dumb. It's so dumb.
It's never, yeah. I feel like even if I was a billionaire, I had money to blow, I would not be buying no $1,000 burger.
Yeah, yeah, and
The
so
most I'd buy is caviar because I like seafood.
I'm not a big caviar. I'm not a big seafood. I mean, a lot of it's a scam, anyways. Lobsters, for example, is a huge scam. We talked about lobster a little bit, but I didn't even talk about the scam side of things.
Oh yeah, lobsters. It's a whole like black market.
Yeah, because it used to, like, now it's touted as like, oh, like a wealthier type of thing, and that's the thing. But originally, it was peasant food, and so
Yeah,
much
if
so.
you ate lobster, you were poor.
Yeah, and so much so that they're actually apparently enslaved, like indoctrined servant clauses. You know, not indoctrined. What's the word?
Eunuchs,
No, not that.
the guys that have their peepees cut off.
No, not that. But that's a different timeline. The damn, I can't think of the word. But the
Indentured servants.
indentured servants. There you go. There you go.
Oh, is that what you were going for?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The people who
Nice,
like
nice.
they're not slaves because they get
Semi-eunuchs.
paid, but in their apparent contracts, they had it that they could only be served lobster like a maximum of one time a week. That's how
What?
lowly it was.
How
Um,
amazing.
yeah, it's crazy. And so like I
Oh,
didn't even know
master,
about that.
please, not the lobster.
And
Oh, the lobster bisque. Oh, anything but that.
I remember growing up because in the previous episode I talked about how as a child I knew that like I just like lobsters are just sea cockroaches, and that's a real thing. There's bugs, right? And then growing up, like my parents like, why don't you have lobster? I'm like, it's a bug, it's a bug. And I can only take you so far because I said like I want to try like frogs or whatever, right? I just
Yeah.
want to try things. And I tried lobster, and then I was just like, I told my mom and dad, they were like, you know, lobster are for poor people, and they were like, ah, and they were like so offended, and I was just like, my mom like was about to slap me, and I was just like, yo, it's true, it's history. Why are you
Your
trying to?
mom was so upset.
Yeah,
She was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
she was like, Par Vision, I spend good money on this lobster.
We go out to dinner as a child to have as when I was a kid to have lobster. It's the thing we looked for, and you have to ruin it. I'm like, hey, you could have had your fun, but once you start out pushing your fun on me, is when it starts being unfun for me, and I'm gonna make it unfun for you.
They were pushing the lobster agenda too hard.
Yeah, exactly. That's the moral of the story. Don't push it too hard, right? And so tying this back, right? Like money, some things are just not worth it. It doesn't matter how much money, right? And then pushing an agenda is too much too. So like who is pushing this cow diddling thing on people, right? Like wait, and you just brought up like I am assuming you asked me if I would buy it on eBay or whatever
Yeah.
because it showed up on eBay?
Yeah, I mean, well, okay. So hear me out. I
don't
wouldn't
know
buy
if
it
I would
myself,
Uh-huh.
but you gotta admit, there's some people out there who would buy cowiness if they had the chance.
I'm confused. Okay, so this is a little bit anatomical. When
Yeah.
I think of like okay, guys, trigger warning, body parts. I think that
I like to imagine the description below still says family.
no, I changed it. I changed it. I forget when I said weirdos talking. That's
Hey, perfect.
so the anus is the starfish, right? Like it's the skin. That's but the inner part is the rectum. So like just for clarity's sake, they took out the rectum, right? Not like just the starfish.
Yeah.
Interesting. That's so weird.
Yeah, I see like that's what really mars the whole human aspect of this. This is so strange. Like no matter how deranged a person can be,
No,
it's like tongues and anus, bro? Like why?
we, you know, that's kind of interesting. Of all the conversations we had, stupidity, you know, craziness, we never
How
talked about
anus
like
is the craziest one.
depravity, right? Like what people would do, like goat fuckers, right? Like those kind of people.
Wait. Hear me out. It's
No, sigh. You don't hear coworkers and then say, "Hear me out." I'm not hearing you out. There's no hearing you out.
no. Here. Hypothetical.
Can
Let's
you give
say
context before you say "hear me out" or hypothetical? You can't go fuck
you
yourself.
have not seen a woman in the past 25 years. You're a shepherd you're a nomad, right? You're just living on a hill. You just roam this hill over and over, and all you have is you and your goat, a female goat, mind you. 25 years. And you're still young. You're a young buck. Like, let's say 25
Don't say
years, you started
young
when you're
buck.
10.
Don't try to be
30, you're
sly.
35. You're 35.
Nah. Okay.
And you
Fine.
haven't had sex in 25 years. Would you do the deed with the goat?
No.
Good answer.
Why did you say "hear me out" then?
Because some people,
'Cause-
hey, some people might say yes in that scenario.
yeah, but you okay. In that scenario, you don't say "hear me out." That's what you went and said.
No. You hear me out because I wanted to propose an idea that might be suitable for some people to say yes at, and I guarantee you, there's going to be some people in the comment section. Please back me up.
No,
that
don't
are going to be like, yeah, I would, do something with a goat.
don't back him up. Don't manipulate the comments. Say like, I agree with Side normally, and this take he said please.
Very fair. Yeah. I said please, so I'm going to do it.
No. See, the thing is, you say "hear me out." You could have said like hear
Hear them out.
Hear them out. Like.
What would that guy say from the Lorax? Like, I speak for the trees or something. I speak for the goat
Did he
fuckers.
say "hear me out" though? I don't think even he said that.
Hey, the 2023 version where they remaster the Lorax, it's gonna be "hear me out." They're gonna change up the dialogue.
Look at that the future site here. This is crazy.
Hey, okay, here's a good one. You know how they're going around changing old books? How do you feel about that?
Okay, so the way you said it, I think, is contextually maybe not what's accurately happening. But here's the thing to connect. You're talking about like it's public schools taking certain books out of the system, right?
No.
Oh, wait, what are you talking about?
So some books, I forgot off the top. It's like an old topic. It's like 2 months ago, but there are like some classic books where they had their publishers hired like a sensitivity team to go through the book and change certain words to fit modern standards.
Oh.
Like things that were a little bit racial or things that were a little bit sexist or anything like that, or things that wouldn't fly under Twitter rules. They've gone through and changed books, and these authors aren't alive either, so it's not like they're giving consent. It's more like, we're just gonna change Dr. Seuss instead of a cat in the hat. Let's say it's a dog in a hat. It's like things like that.
I don't know if that's the right
kind of
example,
an extreme case,
but
yeah, it's a bad example
because that's like changing the meaning. But I know what you mean. Like if there's certain slurs that developed over time, and I think like that kind of thing is important to recognize because the source of where those terms come from a majority oppressive place, and hey, they're commonplace at a certain time. I get it. There's like three things. There's three things, right?
Yeah.
Dr. Seuss, for example, historically, like we found out things about him that weren't exactly likable. Do you cancel Dr. Seuss? Like, is his stories
dead,
perpetuating that kind of like notion that reflects him? No, like, you know what I mean? It's not like the Lorax is a criminal, right? Like, you can't retcon those meanings because you know what the author is. Like, that's the point of the story, right? Now, in terms of the language, I do think that that's fine, but the only thing that I am not okay with is you shouldn't remove access to the originals. I think the originals should exist. I don't think they should be pulled. I think that all versions of all of those things should exist because it's more important that you understand that this was changed, and because that's the lesson. The lesson isn't like you protecting someone from some word, right? Because the word isn't meaningful. We give words meaning, and if you forget the context of what that meaning is, then you're losing the point. So if you go and change Dr. Seuss to something, because all of a sudden now cat is derogatory to women for some reason, right? And now you change it to dog, right? And now the book is changed, and that's what's being perpetuated. Well, what's the important part there, right? The important part there was that this word became derogatory, and that's the bad part. You can turn any word to be a slur, derogatory. Is the word the problem or the meaning behind it, right? That's where I land on with that, where like people want to be policing and woke about those things, but it's like you're missing the point in my opinion. You're removing a word only for it to be replaced by another word, because that's what you're doing to society, right? The problem isn't the word, it's the meaning behind it. And I'm saying that because like obviously a lot of people are gonna mishear what I'm saying. It's like, no, the words that we currently have as taboo, it's not something you can just change and retcon. Like there's the meaning behind it, right? But if you went back in time and you were a time traveler, right? Like imagine you were the person who perpetuated that word in the first place, and you just used a different word. Then we'd be saying a completely different word, right? And that's kind of the point. It's like you could just replace that word and it would be derogatory, and that will continue to happen to the end of time until we learn our lesson. And so if you try to cover it up, we're not learning anything. But I do think it is important to change it because that's just reflective of society, right? Society is not supposed to stay the same. So if you want things to progress in the future, it should change. It's kind of like the thing that we talked about earlier, right? Treat us like your grandma, right? But the meaning behind that is like there are these old dogs that can't learn new tricks, right? That's the problem with boomers, right? But like so I imagine a lot of people are like, yo, like have gripes with their parents, like, oh, why can't they just learn this new thing, right? Like whether it's computers or whether
Why
it's
are they
like
old?
being accepting of something that's different, whether it's someone's choices in life, for example. But they can't, right? And I think that's at the end of the day the conversation with that. So it is interesting, but there are certain choices that we talked about that, like, hey, diddling cows. That's probably not one that that deserves to be supported. Maybe, you know what I mean? Like, you know, on that note, maybe I am on Team PETA for that one. You know?
I like that. I like that answer.
Yeah, yeah,
No, I'm kind of the same way. Like, if they want to change the book, I feel like that's fair, right? To fit it to modern times, that's cool. Just don't get rid of the OG book too. You know, like have that exist somewhere, because no matter how you slice it, yeah, some books are pretty bad, right? Like I bet there's some ones out there that are like, yo, like I hate the Laos people, and yeah, it's very fair.
yeah, yeah,
But I feel like at the same time, it's a product of its time.
yeah. No one thought you learn so much about history from the arts that come out of it, right? And if you change those arts, then you're also unintentionally also changing someone's perspective of what that is. And I think a really good example is actually in One Piece, because you could do, let's say like you did that to Harry Potter, right? And all of a sudden now they're remaking it and they're gonna add diversity, they're gonna add so many different things that are current to today, right? But the
Yeah,
thing is that the Harry Potter that they made back then, it makes sense given the reflection of the industry, the reflection of actors, the reflection of directors, the reflection of society and their values. That, you know, you cannot like it, but it's kind of true, right? Like there wasn't a lot of diverse actors being chosen for a lot of things. There wasn't a lot of diverse actors in Hollywood. If you can go around and change that and now delete the original Harry Potter, for example, and you see the current one, you go back and you're like, wow, J.K. Rowling, the most woke person I've ever known. And then that's not really true if you go back to, and you know, there's a whole I'm not like, you know, I'm
I
not setting
am
my
a
foot,
J.K. Rowling defender.
and it changes the context. But the reason why I said the One Piece thing is because Oda, being a man from Japan, wrote trans rights, like LGBTQ content, before gay marriage was legalized in America, which is like, that is an historical like phenomenon in my opinion. Like this guy from Japan, who's more of a conservative valued country and familial as well, not even independent, is writing a story not even for America, includes those rights that even the most like woke PC, like progressive, I guess, not really the most progressive if you really take a step back, but like gay marriage being legalized when it was, he did it before that. And like that's something that you can really like, if you know, let's just say that wasn't the original story and then someone went back and changed that, that would give you such a different perspective. But now that we know that that's the original way he wrote that, it makes you look at Oda way different. Oda being the writer for a few people that might have stumbled upon us from not One Piece, but yeah, like that is important. I think like you can't change history, but you can change the future, and that's fine. That's fine. Don't change the past. Don't act like you can. Like, right? That's don't go back like 15 years and look at someone's tweet and cancel them for that, right? Like that's kind of dumb, right? Like,
Oh, that's gonna be so funny in the next couple of decades because a lot of future presidents, maybe not like soon, but like in the way future, like 20, 30 years later, a lot of presidents are gonna have a digital footprint. Have you thought about that? Like, we're gonna get like President Joseph, and he's over here like playing Minecraft or in Modern Warfare 2 lobbies, like dropping some crazy words, and it's like, yo, like Joseph kind of nuts.
I mean, that's reality. Joe. I mean, the hypothetical Joe might be reality Joe. I mean, Biden blast comes from somewhere, right? And he got caught with that. Right, he tried to retcon his upbringing. My dad told me all of. I saw it, this is the story. I'm memeing on him. He deserves to be memed.
Joe Biden's such a great meme.
Tell me
What
if
a
I'm
loser.
putting it accurate. He's like, oh, LGBTQ rights. I was raised up that way. My papa. I feel like he had an accent. He said it. He said one day I was walking down the hallway at school, which I don't know why. I think he said hallway. He said I
Yeah, he
saw.
prefaced it really weird.
I saw a
He built
man.
up the whole narrative.
I saw a man and a man holding hands, and I asked my dad, my papa, what's going on there? And my papa said, that's just two people loving each other. And from then on, I just accepted it. Two men, great. That's perfect. And so he said that like growing up as a childhood, that was a moral that his father instilled in him. Flash forward to like before he ran for vice president with Barack Obama. He's like in 2008. Maybe this was even on the trail. He says marriage is between a man and a woman, and he was very adamant.
Yeah.
It's like
hey, you retcon your childhood.
yo,
What's going on here? Have you
the
seen
funniest
the most
thing.
recent Joe Biden clip of his last speech like 4 or 5 days ago?
Maybe I probably repressed the memory.
He said another really strange thing at the end of his speech.
No surprise.
I forgot what he was talking about. I forgot because the ending of his speech was the most wild part.
That's probably the same boat I'm in. I probably saw it, but I just like, there's no point to put this into memory right now. Like
He was just talking about like world peace or, coming together or something. And then the final thing he says is, let's all lick the world.
oh yeah, actually, that wasn't
I started
AI.
scratching. No. That was actually Joe Biden. Because he stumbled on the word, because I think he tried to say love the world or something along those lines, and he just said lick instead.
It's a rough thing because he one thing that is, I think, documented from what I do know is his like speech impediment that he apparently has been rehabilitating over the years. And I think one of the solutions, instead of getting locked into like a stutter, you replace the word and then fix it. And I think like so that's what he said. And I'm not a speech therapist. I'm not like that kind of a thing. But that does, in the context of everything else Joe Biden has done and we talk about, it's not exactly helping him at this point. It's not.
See, here's the thing with Joe Biden. People who have speech impediments, yeah, it's sad. I feel bad for him. But here's the thing, Joe Biden, he just shouldn't be president. He's too old for that, right? Minus like, the whole political side of it, whether I like him or dislike him, politically doesn't even matter. He's just too old. He's my grandpa. My grandpa died before he hit Joe Biden's age. Like, bro, I had my grandparents on both sides, younger than Joe Biden. They all passed away already. Asians don't last that long.
How old is Joe Biden? Is he 78?
Yeah, I think he's like 78.
78.
And it's like, dude, like when I remember my grandparents when they were 78, bro, I would not put them in office.
Yeah.
Like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
Like, you could say, oh, Cy, he's
80 years
a Democrat, Republican, whatever. Like, I don't really have a party I super affiliate with. But we can all come together, and I hope we can all agree that maybe there should be an age limit.
Hey,
Maybe we shouldn't let paraplegics up there.
the
Or
thing
not
is,
paraplegics. Geriatrics patients. I'm sorry.
it's interesting, right? Because it's like it sounds ageist, but I think both of us said maybe we said it off call, but like a driver's test, like that kind of
A driver's test. Beautiful.
like
If they can
something
operate a
to
car, they can operate America.
like a real like a thing. And you know the reason why I say that is because like there are older people, and we're gonna come to a time when we're at that age and it's a completely different thing. Whereas like my grandpa, for example, he was super old, but he also was super coherent, and I'm like, yo, like this guy was a genius. And then again, no support, no partisanship here, but it's like Donald Trump is 76. And honestly, when we talked about it, at least the man says sentences that, he
You
means,
can understand what he's saying. Like,
yeah,
yeah, I don't even think Donald Trump. I even think Donald Trump is too old to be president. But it's like at least I understand what he's saying.
yeah,
I feel like as far as a leader goes, maybe this is just me. Obviously I've watched a little bit too much anime. I'm a little bit too lost in the sauce here. But I want, no matter what country, like even if I live in a different country than America, I would want our leader, our president, to be like an intimidating person. I want them to be coherent. Where like if other countries look at us, they're like, "Oh wow, like, I don't like America, but at least that Joe Biden guy's got a good head on his shoulders, right?"
yeah.
I
No,
want
I
at least that
I
much.
agree. I agree. I think the
I don't know.
biggest thing for me also is leadership is supposed to be like representative, and I feel like it hasn't been uh at least in my adult life, it's not has been that way. And it's like I've traveled abroad, and it's such a weird thing because it does shape people's perspective about you. Like the president of the United States actually does. When it changes, it does change how people receive Americans, how their preconceptions of them. There's no surprise that like right now, from my experience and from what I've heard and from like the a lot of people from abroad, even in the community I'm part of, that would say like, yeah, like America's so backwards, like we're so behind technologically, we're so behind in values, we're so behind in legislation and government wise, like. And our last two presidents are kind of that representative, right? Like they're super old, like
Out of touch.
they're out of touch, exactly. And it's like even if it's a poetic thing, it's representative of us. Like if we had a younger president, I would imagine that we'd have like more not progressive necessarily, but like more advanced like infrastructure being implemented. You know what I mean? Like when it comes
Yeah.
to like even roads, highways, solutions, right? I feel like the solutions that and Donald Trump, Joe Biden, the kind of solutions that they would reach for off the front, they're out of touch from the ones that are most recent, and the ones that are most recent are probably more efficient. That's the beauty of human evolution as well, where it's like infrastructure, right? Like we can look across the world and look at buildings, look at roads, look at bridges, look at all of these things, and energy as well. Like there's so many things that we're just behind, and it's like, how can you be ahead if the people at the top don't even know that kind of stuff exists? You know what I mean? Like
Oh, it's like the fucking TikTok meeting where it's like, bro, like we're trying to portray ourselves as like a good, like a crazy smart country, or maybe that's not how like other countries see us, and that's fine, right? But
yeah.
we gotta at least be perceived as that even a little bit. And you're telling me the best we could throw up were like these bozos that didn't know what the internet was? Like what's going on here? Like we just seem stupid. And the thing is, if the TikTok meeting went on behind closed doors, then we might start some rumors like, oh, America's like these guys are so crazy they had to like hide the whole conference. But
Yeah.
no, we live streamed it. And people could see on air like how stupid we are. And America, a lot of people here aren't the brightest, right? I'm not afraid to admit that we're not the brightest people, but we at least have to pretend that we are. But who do we put in the front of our country? We put Joe Biden. and we put that Senate, and it's like, no, we seem stupid. Like
Yeah.
we're actual idiots. And I know some countries, right? Like it's the pot calling the kettle black. Some countries are also that stupid too, right? I don't know if you've checked out international like Senate meetings, or not Senate, but like Congress meetings of whatever country they're in. But they're not always the smartest people either.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you see some goofy things with like Boris Johnson or something. And
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, it happens, but you at least want to pretend like you're smart.
It's sad
That's
that
where I'm at
he
least.
is like more that's another example, because he was a leader that now, as a foreigner, that is what you receive of the of how parliament and their legislation goes. But I've said it before, I've listened to their TikTok hearings, like parts of it, and like, yo, they're very eloquent. Like their words, the
Oh yeah.
vocabulary, the way they, like, it looks like they go in and they prepare a speech, that they're like putting on a performance. And I'm like, at least they're, because the sad part is, so do our senators. They're cooking. They're sitting there back thinking that they're Gordon Ramsay chefing up like this audio bit that's gonna go viral on TikTok, ironically, right? Because that's what they really want. They want to go viral for what they're saying, and then they come off as doofuses. Versus, you go over to like the in Europe and you listen to their leaders have discourse about these things, and they're saying words that, like, hey, I might actually have to pull out a dictionary for this. This was
No, where's
very,
the lexicon?
yeah, like this was very like I forget what it was, right? Not a single time in the US Senate hearing for TikTok did they ever even talk about like the industry of the internet, right? Like the TikTok guy was like show the CEO, for we're on first name basis with that guy. He's dope. He was basically saying like, yo, this is an industry standard. Like at the end of the day, anything that you're saying about me, about the company, industry standard. If anything, we're doing it better. We're trying to push the buttons, but you guys are not wanting us to do that. Um, which is like, the one thing that he did get out but they didn't receive well was, they do have an in America data server, something that most other social media companies and data storages don't do. Facebook being an example, they were just like blasted for that exact thing, and they don't want to have a data server in house. But TikTok is the show basically said like, it's actually beneficial for our algorithm, for our company, for the app, to have a localized system, because it allows us to better utilize the information. He's gone on and said that in post interviews, and the way he is allowed to explain it there, it makes so much sense. And the one thing that I did see reiterated a few times, at least over in Europe, was that they need to put in place laws that allow for better cyber hygiene. And that's a great terminology. I feel like more people should know about that. People's cyber hygiene is awful. You know what I mean? Like, they don't know how to
Oh yeah.
interact with the internet, how to interact with, like, we were just talking about that, the comments and various like parasocial relationships is another example, content creation, but then also social media in general, like hygiene. That's what it is. And they said it like that. And I'm like, you know what? I might move there just because my leader is smart. Like, at least they sound smart. They might actually be a box of rocks,
Dude,
but they sounded smart.
there's also the whole thing. You ever hear like, have you heard about AI and how it's progressing too fast, and people are saying that maybe we should take a 6 month break to catch up.
All the
It's like, we should
people.
never have to do that. Like, if we were competent and if we actually saw AI and said, hey, let's finally talk about it and put some rules in place,
Yeah.
when it first was like originating, it's like, no, we wouldn't. Nobody would have to propose the 6 month break.
The thing with about the
Which I don't think it's gonna happen, but either way, like, just the idea of it is like, dude, like, are we really at that point where we're just so behind on everything we have to like take a break, when we know if literally Congress came out and said, hey guys, you're gonna have to pause AI research for about 6 months,
That's not even
nobody's
happening.
gonna listen to that.
Yeah.
Nobody would.
They don't. No,
Nobody
no,
would.
the thing is, they don't have a way to enforce it either.
Yeah,
That's the main problem.
exactly. They can't enforce it. That's how incompetent we are.
Yeah.
It's like, we should, the minute AI technology came out, ChatGPT or anything, even the smallest inkling, we could have, I don't know, a vacuum that just moves on its own. We should have had the government at least say, hey, let's talk about this for a minute, because we're heading in this direction. Where should we draw the line? What law should we have in place? And now we're playing catch up. And it's just incompetence, and it's not just America. All the countries are on the same boat where nobody's prepared for the AI conversation. So it's not like an isolated problem here in America. But either way, it's just like it just looks bad.
Yeah,
It looks
there's
ridiculous.
only a few countries that I'm just gonna profile real quick that I would imagine that are on top of it. Probably like Estonia, maybe I think it's Iceland. Iceland has like all the data storages places because they have like geothermal. It's like a very efficient place to store your data, apparently from an energy standpoint. Um, and then I'd imagine like Japan, maybe, but nah, Japan's letting us down. I feel like in AI. I mean, they want it though. Like I feel like Japan's like, oh, V VTuber idols, give me some of that. You mean more emotions? Crazy,
Mizu
Unreal,
Mizu, I need more of her.
Unreal Engine 5, give me 17. Like why we're moving too slow. And that's at the end of the day, what you said, I disagree for the main reason of it shouldn't be the moment Chat GPT comes out. No. No, 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 no. We should not hear about AI before the upper echelon of the world government, not the world government,
Oh, I
the
agree.
government knows, like they should be ahead of it and have it
They
in
should have been the
place.
ones who made AI.
Yeah, honestly, but and then the side thing is technically the celestial dragons, the people at the top, they are the ones who made the AI. The Google founder Elon Musk wants to insert himself as one of the people who pushed the button. I think he's full of shit in that regard. But hey, like he could have put money into it. That I believe in. But I feel like I've seen too many interviews now. He's just like, oh, I
I'm a
was one of
fan
the
of Elon Musk.
I was one of the people that back when Larry Page was at my house, we were talking about AI, and he went a very different direction. I heard a few different iterations where he's trying to push that, and he's trying to paint like Larry Page as this demon person for AI. But like when the break thing, it was a cold call, I think, to all the people pushing AI, and even then, I'm sitting there thinking like, you, you're the ones who brought it, right? Like, and you guys realize that once you get the ball rolling the way you guys did, it's not stopping. Like that's like it's asking Indiana Jones to stop the giant boulder coming his way. He's
Stop
not.
splunking.
It's not happening. And yeah, like we can't keep up. We never will be. And at this point, like AI is going to take over, and at it's going to be hilarious. It's going to be hilarious. If you guys don't know, Love Death Robots Netflix series, there's an episode about yogurt. Go watch that. Hey, I'm on yogurt's side, and get the context from there because it connects to this conversation. And you're like, what, Par likes yogurt that much? No, no, no. Go watch that episode. It's only 5 minutes. It's a really great episode.
It's
Um,
just it's just sad how out of touch the world is becoming. And it's a generational thing, right? Like they went from just learning and discovering phones all the way to like, oh, now you have an iPhone and AI is taking over. So I get it, right? Like a lot of people in Congress, no matter where you go, they're just going to be out of touch.
yeah,
And that's fair, but what I think is the problem is we just need younger people there. Just blend it. Blend
there
it. You need a mixed pot.
there's it's we brought it up before, I forget what episode, but there's actually like propaganda saying that the young people aren't participating, which I think is backfiring in a lot of ways because apparently Gen Z is out more active in the election system and public discourse and politics than millennials, and even getting to a point boomers. Apparently, like I think they're actually being more active in pushing the bills, and there's a lot of young people in actual, like not even like city councils, not even like that. There's a lot of young people even in my hometown. There's a dude from my high school. I'm like, interesting. I feel like if he could do it, I could do it. I'm a spin it into a
Yeah.
positive direction. You guys can understand how you will, but like,
I think just not a lot of people have that ambition.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
growing up, did you ever want to be a politician?
My family wanted me to, and also the politicians that I interacted with were like, you would have been a great, you should be a politician. I'm like, but like for me,
Uh,
I just the thing is, I think I said this here too. My dad raised me to be a shadow, like just like in the background, and for me, I think personally, I um I just I don't like putting myself at the front of anything. I don't like putting myself in a leadership position. Anytime I'm ever put in a leadership position, it's because people pushed me there. Like my wife, for example. Like I'll be like, no, I suck. Like this isn't what I want to do. Blah blah blah. And she'd be like, no, this is perfect for you. And then flash forward like 3 months later, I'm in that position. I'm like, God damn it, how'd this happen? And
Why?
yeah, and then it ends up being fine, right? But it's just one of those things. I don't personally um I'm not ambition's a weird word because I feel like I have ambitions towards making people not making people education. I think education is a root thing. I think if anything that I do in life, if I can sit back and say like, hey, someone's like learned something from what I did, then I'm cool, right? And various people in my life have seen that and been like, that's a good trait of a leader. If that's what you think, sure, right? But that's not me saying that I want to be a leader. I want to be in that spot, right? That's kind of how I see it.
I don't like that.
Yeah. What about you? You ever see yourself in politics? Because I think
No,
you're more of the politician than I am, actually.
I I wanted to be president as a kid, but that's just because I wanted to go to war.
Okay,
And
fair.
now that I'm older, I learned that war is not cool.
The reason why I said the politician thing is because you were wronged. You were wronged by a conglomerate. And you did not take that disrespect sitting down. You used your platform and your power to 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 make a change, force a change, a multi guys. If you guys don't know this,
Oh my god.
Psy made a multi-billion-dollar company bend to their knees, literally
I
saying,
did.
"Listen, here's our speed dial number. Please don't ever raise an army
I
against
don't
us."
think I don't think I've talked about this on the podcast, huh?
Yeah, you haven't. You haven't. This
Yeah.
could be.
So
We have a little bit of time to expand on
yeah.
this one.
We'll end off with this story because we're hitting the time limit. We got to cut it a little bit short today.
Yeah.
But what happened was that before I started doing YouTube, one of my first digital footprints out there was me versus the Lay's Corporation. So I love chips as much as the next guy. I'm addicted. I go through withdrawals if I don't get some certain chips every now and then, right?
I feel
And
you.
I ate a lot of Flamin' Hot Lays, and I loved them. You know, I had them since I was a kid. I still eat them to this day. But in the early stages of 2021, they got rid of the Flamin' Hot Lays. They changed the formula and they introduced blue cheese to the flavor. And I love blue cheese, right? I eat blue cheese with my steaks all the time. Great, lovely, great
Uh-huh.
pairing. Charcuterie board, more like charcuterie board because I'm eating it up. But the thing with that is that it just doesn't taste good with Flamin' Hot products.
Uh-huh.
So I started a petition. I started a. It wasn't a GoFundMe. It was a change.org petition. I raised about 30,000 signatures. You know, we were pestering the Lay's company on Twitter, Instagram, every social media they had, just saying, "Hey, Flamin' Hot Lay's, blah blah blah." I even made videos about it, saying, "Hey, it's hashtag not my hot." I did everything I could to start a war against the Lay's Corporation, and then eventually, after like I think 4 or 5, 6 months, they gave in. They actually contacted me. They took a little video with me. They sent me products. They brought me like 150 bags of Lay's. They changed the flavor back. It was a whole hoopla. If you go through their Twitter, you can actually see a picture of me and my wife posing up with the Flamin' Hot Lay's bag. Like that's how it is. I was a prominent figure in their company's history, and this all started because I wanted a change. I wanted my Flamin' Hot Lay's back. And if there was something in the world that involved me getting into Congress to fight for it, it's probably just the Flamin' Hot Lays chip. If Congress ever comes after my Flamin' Hot Lays, I think I might just have to join the political spectrum.
Hey, the best leaders come from the weirdest places, and that when I found out that story, I learned so much about you. And the thing is, like a lot of times we talk, and then you say something, and then like you're like in denial about a certain aspect of you. And when I push back, like a lot of other people don't have that context of like those stories, and I'm like, no, like if you knew this about Sai, it makes sense. Yeah, like that's 100% literally how politics happens. When the authority impedes on something someone is passionate about, you now inspire somebody to make action, right? Like
Is
that is
fight for
the
a cause.
and that is the history of it. And I'm sure there's other things that you would be passionate about. But listen, if they like, hey, how about this? How about if I was president, I would go the European route, president of the United States, and I would ban food coloring. The
Oh, that's
red,
not a bad
the
idea.
red
Red
40s,
64.
yeah, like all those things. And here's the issue, Sai.
What's the issue?
They would at least have to reformulate your flaming hot lays because all except for the hot
Hey, that's
fries.
fine.
Okay, all right. See, okay, maybe I wouldn't be the
I'm open for change. Like, as long as it tastes the same, which red 46 doesn't add any flavor, it's just a color, I'm cool with it. If my Lay's came out blue, purple, pink, red, yellow, I don't care. It
yeah.
is what it is, as long as the flavor is there. Like, I've talked about this before. I would eat a raw human being,
Oh my god.
hairy leg and all, if they tasted phenomenal. And
And
if it
legal.
was legal.
Yeah,
Legal.
yeah.
Yeah.
God,
Hypothetical. I would only eat legal food. But if it, it could be disgusting, it could be abhorrent, it could be an actual plate of dog shit. If it tasted good and if it's legal, then I'd eat it.
yeah,
All I gotta say.
yeah. And it's funny because you kind of held back on the Lay story a little bit because you said, "Oh, no, if you go on their Twitter, there's a picture of me and my even trying to make it sound all wholesome." No, 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 no. Listen, guys. They were scared. Psy
They
wasn't.
were pretty scared.
Yes, they were treating Psy as if he was a leader of a free world. Like this was it was crazy, and he had the receipts for it. I like it was this was back on like when you were streaming on Twitch, and it was just like me, you, and a few other people, and you showed. I was like, wait a second, this is real. This is really than real, and like basically, guys, if you guys have any chips flavors that were discontinued, wrongfully discontinued, you have
Hit me up.
your political leader here. The list, how many? I can't say. Can I say this? Technically I can, but not in the same way as you. My version of it was like I'm a gamer. I'm a gamer. Anytime there's like a system in place, and I see a loophole, or like not a loophole, like some kind of way that I can steer the ship, I do it. And so for me, so this is no secret, and this is I love memeing on this. Uh, are my phone plan. So my brother has the OG unlimited plan. So when I mean OG unlimited plan, everybody has unlimited nowadays, right? Difference is most, if not all, no, every single current unlimited plan is throttled after a certain gigabyte amount. You can pay for more, and it gets really crazy in amount how much you pay. But I have pure unbridled access, unlimited. So of 4G. That's one thing that they put a stipulation on. When the 5G came out, they're like, "Oh, we're not accepting grandfathered in things." This is like a 20-plus-year-old plan, so they can't do anything. They try to make it more expensive, but they also can't do it to a certain extent. And so we kept it. And so so when I moved to the city had like the place I lived in had a certain prominent
You
cell phone
can't you
tower.
can't name it. The company that shall not be named.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not trying to start beef with them again, but like they had a
Again.
tower on top of it, on top of our building, right? And I had like I literally every month I was doing like terabytes of data. It was insane. But that's the thing. This they still can't stop me. But what they didn't do. So this is when unlimited was first coming out, and I don't know if you guys know this. You guys should take advantage of this. Honestly, is these cell phone companies have subsidiaries that are equally as good as the main ones. So, for example, I can't say for example. Actually, I can. Xfinity and Verizon is a really solid example. Xfinity used to just be like a Comcast type of thing, right? But then they brought a mobile line, and it's through all of Verizon's towers. So that's how they provide it. And so, not naming who I had at the time, um, I had, oops, sorry. I had this company's service, and they provided unlimited, but they didn't put the cap. And I was using a tower that unlimited access, so I was doing terabytes through their thing, and it was literally like $10 a month. Like I was going nuts on like faster internet than if I got like Ethernet to my computer. Like it was so crazy. And then and then like literally like 2 months of it, I was telling my brother, I was like, yo, look at me I'm literally like destroying their entire server. I promise. Like I was just going nuts. I was hotspotting everything. So then the company, uh and I know like in emails you can put like a code in and it refers to your customer specifically. This was a handwritten letter to
Just
like
to
I'm not gonna
you.
name the person on the plan, but like to the person on the plan, and saying, oh, just as a heads up, in the future we will be limiting hotspot hotspot data and primarily videos. You can only stream them at 720p unless it's from the device it is. And so thereafter they did that, but then I had a workaround on that, and then for the next 3 months they kept on sending letters specifically to that, and then like literally a week 2 weeks later they implemented on like a large scale. So 3 months back to back they just like patched all of my shit, and then I was like, you know what, and then me and my brother, we switched phone numbers. And so now
They
I have
can't
that.
stop you.
Yeah, now I have that. So like over the weekend my internet was down for like 24 hours, but it was fine because I had unlimited hotspot, so it was pretty dope. So that, me and Sai are kind of birds of a feather when it comes to that kind of
We
thing.
are revolutionaries, right?
Yeah, yeah. Hey,
Yeah, yeah.
guys, if you I'm not gonna put positions here. President, vice president, Par and Sai on the ballot, would you guys vote for that?
Oh, yeah. I hope they would.
Yo, that'd be
Like,
kind of
even if
sick.
we suck, right? Even if we just don't know what we're talking about, we're just bumbling idiots. Hey, we're fresh ideas. We're
Hey,
fresh
yeah,
ideas.
yeah,
Diversity
yeah.
hires.
I was just gonna
We
say
are diversity hires. There we
we're
go.
diverse, but we also have the the conservative a little bit sprinkle. I mean, yours is more of like donuts on there, but like they're there. And but hey, we're married men. The country likes married men. Like that is a thing. But
Yeah.
we fill all the shoes. The pants, the shirt. Hey, it don't. I wouldn't be surprised if you guys nominated us. We might just be forced into that position. Sai and Par. You don't even need to put us on the ballot. Just put the 50-50 podcast, and just know that we would be the bridge between one side of the 50 and the other side of the 50.
We could do a night and day thing where it's like I'm the president of the night and then you're the president of the day, you know?
Oh God! Wait, that's actually crazy. I want to tell you after this a theory thing that I connected, but we'll talk about that later. But yeah, we're closing in on the time where unfortunately we have to go. But I do want to say something, because I don't know if we'll get back to this conversation anytime soon, because last episode we were talking about animals and I wanted to say it then, but then you talked about the cow diddling thing, and I wasn't expecting you to go this route. But real quick, like, if the viewers who are watching the video saw me change the title to "Are Animals Better?" And I remember I sent you the silverback gorilla on TikTok, and I said like, "Yo, if this dude was sentient, we're not winning. You get a few of the. I even sent you some Rise of the Planet of the Ape clips too, and like, yo, we're not beating those things." But here's why I'm bringing this up. You mentioned the cow tongue things being like surgically, like basically chopped off, whatever. We don't know how, right? Here's what's
Yeah.
crazy. Uh Killer whales are apparently, I forget where it is. But there's like a biologist that's been covering the story, saying that, again, this is one of those stories I didn't vet too much. I saw like 3 or 4 different sources talking about the same story with different details, and they were actually like on the scene as well. And they're saying that there's these killer whales that are attacking sharks and killing them. No surprise, killer whales are gangsters. That's kind of how they roll. But here's the thing: how are they doing it? Apparently, they're surgically removing their livers perfectly, like through an incision, and like just the liver, not like a chomp, just the liver. And so what that does is now that gives the shark a slow death because they just kind of like bleed out, and they can't filter their blood, and they essentially, I think they died of toxicity at that point. And so the thing is, the reason why the killer whales so apparently are doing this is because the liver is the most nutritional part of the shark for
Delicious.
them, like macronutrient wise, like they, across the entire part of the shark, that is the best thing that they can eat. Why? Because it's the least, it's the squishiest, it's the least intensive to get, it requires the least amount of energy to get and chew, and also provides them the most energy. So not only are they committing this act that sounds like beyond human, right? They're killer whales. They don't even have hands. How do they do this? But they also have the brain to like make that decision. I don't know how many years it took to be like, shark livers, that's the only part of a shark that's worth it to us. Every part is too tough, too rough.
Have a macro counter like built into their brain.
Yeah, I want to talk. I want to look more at that because listen, killer whales might be that beast that you were talking about to
Hey,
subjugate.
to end off the podcast, we're gonna pass the question on to you guys. What animal should we talk about next?
Hey, yeah. I was gonna say, speaking of animals, I want to tell you the title I left it on when you're talking about the Lays thing. I put Saya's Yonko level.
There we go.
Yo, that's dope. But yeah, let us know.
That's how the Lay's Corporation sees me.
Yeah,
They hear my name and they start shaking.
Oh no, we have billions of dollars, but Saya has billions of
Oh,
people and their hearts.
So one last thing with that too, the Lay's thing. I made a video on YouTube talking about how I put my pee in a bag of Lay's just to like torture it, like the old flavor, like the bad flavor. And the Lay's PR team contacted me and asked if they could play that video for some of the high members, but they also said, hey, but we're also gonna have to trim some parts out. And I was like, I know what you're trimming out. Like I know what you're gonna have to cut out of this. Don't worry.
Oh my goodness.
So when they said that, it was so funny because they're like, hey, could you send the video and we'll do the rest from there. I'm like, yeah, I got you, no worries.
Yo, and so with that, guys, once again, we appreciate your comments. Let us know what you guys think.
Thank you for your patronage.
Would you guys vote for us? Which animals should we talk about next and focus on? What you think about Sai now with this story in lieu?
Yes.
Hey, if you're a CEO and hey, if you want to support us, know that just as much power that we can muster up with our grassroots operation against you, we can do it for you. And if you're looking to sponsor such a wholesome podcast as the 50/50 podcast, look no further than the 50/50 podcast.
And you know what? Hey, maybe by next week you'll even see a 50/50 dedicated YouTube channel. And guess what? If you're wondering why this podcast is coming out on a what is this? A Tuesday instead of Monday.
Yeah.
It's because you're not subscribed to our Patreon. For just $2, you get the episode a day early.
Okay, all right, yeah, exactly. That's exactly what we've been doing.
We don't need it, right? But we, like Par said, eventually we want to be able to eat dinner off of the podcast and live good lives. We don't want to be serial killers killing pedophiles every single day.
They don't get paid to do that. I don't know why you said it like that.
Hey! If you're killing convicted pedophiles, I like to imagine you at least take their lunch money. So yeah, if you want to support us, there's a Patreon. It's $2. It's very cheap. You don't have to do it. We're no pressure. But if you want the episode a day in advance, it's going to be on there.
Fair enough. And so thank you guys. Look forward to the next episode. Apologies that this is a delayed episode. Sometimes, this isn't a priority thing. So, it's just, this is the first time me and Sai are talking in normal human hours, honestly.
Yeah.
And
it's weird.
Let us know if that actually changes the conversation, because I feel like maybe this conversation was a little bit crazier than our demon hour conversations.
Yeah, you guys got a more tame Par inside today.
Yeah, one way to look at it.
We're super tame now. Talk about cowiness and everything.
Exactly. Actually, there's a time. I'm gonna end it in 5 seconds. So, all right, later, guys.
See you guys in 5 seconds.